The Baptist Manual, Dr. Edward T. Hiscox, November 13th, 1893, Ministry Convention. He authored the Baptist Manual. He spoke to a large group of ministries, and this is what the Baptists say in regards to Sunday. What a pity that it, parentheses Sundays, comes branded with the mark of paganism, and Yeshua, who is Christ, ended with the name of the sun god. That's Jesus. I read that on the last video. They called Jesus a sun god. Then adopted and sanctioned by papal apostasy and bequeathed as a sacred legacy to Protestantism. Sunday worship. Early believers kept Sunday as the Sabbath until March 7, 321 CE, when Pope Constantine passed a law requiring believers to worship on Sunday, the day the pagans worshiped the sun god. Believers still kept Saturday as the Sabbath until another law was passed 11 years later. This law, signed into decree by Pope Constantine, forbid believers to worship on the Sabbath, as it was punishable by death by the Catholic Church. Many believers were burned to death by the Catholic Church for keeping the Sabbath. They burned our people. I just want y'all to see. I'm still reading from my laptop. You can freeze it and read, when I do that, you can freeze it and read for yourself. Yeshua, Christ, and the Sabbath, Luke 4, King James Version. And he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up. And as his custom was, he went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day and stood up to read. I wonder what he read. Because the New Testament wasn't out at that time. So I wonder what he read. And there was delivered unto him the book of the prophet Isaiah. And when he opened the book, he found the place where it was written. Yeshua's custom was to go to the synagogue every Sabbath and teach. Yeshua was reading from the book of the great prophet Isaiah. For you people that attempt to discredit the Old Testament, saying things like, the Old Testament is just a bunch of stories that are not important, you are unlearned and you are in great danger. Even Yeshua has taught from the Old Testament. You have to take from the old to make new. Equals same foundation but new paint job. If Yeshua worshipped every Sabbath, isn't that enough example for us? He worked more miracles on the Sabbath than any other day. He did 7 miracles on the Sabbath, which is why he said it's lawful to do good on the Sabbath. Has time ever been lost? Maybe the 7th day we have today might not be the same 7th day that we had back then. False. There are 3 ways you can tell Saturday was, is, will be the 7th day of the week: the Bible, language, and astronomy. Should we worship on the first day in honor of his resurrection? There are 8 texts in the New Testament that mention the first day of the week, and not one of them tell us to worship on Sunday in honor of his resurrection. Also, I will probably mention this later, but we did not always have names for the days of the weeks. Our ancestors knew the days by numbers. Example, Sunday is 1, Monday is 2, and so on. The symbol of his resurrection is Romans 6, verses 3 through 4, King James Version. Baptized into his death and into an everlasting life. In over 140 languages of the world, the word for the 7th day of the week is Sabbath. And I just want to show y'all this. Look at this. In over 140 languages of the world, the word for the 7th day of the week is Sabbath. Look, Greek, Sabbaton, Spanish, sábado. Portuguese, sábado. Italian, sabato. French, samedi. German, Samstag, I don't know. Russian, sabota. Polish, sobota. Don't give me the lion. I ain't gonna even try with the Persian, Hindi, and everything. Don't give me the lion. But, so even Russians, who are mostly atheists, pronounce the day. So even Russians, atheists, pronounce the day we call Saturday, the last day of the week, Sabbath. It's embedded in culture. Has time ever been changed? Has the weekly cycle ever been changed? Royal Greenwich Observatory, Greenwich, England. This is the time center of the world. They keep accurate time. R.H. Tucker, information officer. Since the week is a civil, social, and religious cycle, there should be no reason why it should be disturbed by any adjustment to the calendar. Okay. Let me go on. The change from Julian to Gregorian calendar has always been made to leave the weekday sequence undisturbed. Was the calendar ever changed? Yes, from Julian to Gregorian. Initially, in the Julian calendar, it was thought to have only been 365 days in a year. Actually, we know there are 364 days in a year. I know this might seem minor, but you must realize that if you lose the fourth of a day, every 4 years you will lose a day. This would also mean your seasons will be out of order. This mistake was caught and fixed. A change was made in October of 1582. 11 days was added artificially to the 4th of that month. Instead of the next day being the 5th, it was the 15th. The weekly cycle was never bothered or changed by what happened the year 1582 in October. What is the Lord's Day? Every day, but let us use some Lord's sense as well. Revelation 1 and 10. I was in the Spirit on the Lord's Day. Refer to Matthew 12, verse 8, Mark 2, 28, Luke 6 and 5. If the Son of Man is the Lord of the Sabbath, what day is the Lord's Day? The Sabbath, Saturday. I will say this again, as this is the end of this segment. The choice is yours. You have been born. As I have been writing this book, I've attended different churches on Sunday, praying that my message will be received. Today is July 8th, 2015. Wow, 3 years today, August 25th. 2018. Edit today is December 2nd, 2023. Wow, 8 years. Pray to the Most High. All praises to the Most High. Today is January 16th, 2024. We are in the end times. Things will get worse, but prayer and repentance can always change things. He said that if we will stop sinning against His law of the Sabbath, He will heal our land. I think most of us don't fully trust Him. That is why so many of us stand around at the end of service during altar call for prayer, healing, and deliverance, when the path in front of the altar should be filled. Or maybe some people just don't want to come down because they know the same people that's praying for them and offering to lay hands is going to be the same people that's on the phone gossiping about whatever they was going through in private. I don't get why it's always the same people going up for prayer. I'm not down on the people that go up often. I feel like if you need prayer that much, you should be able to go to Him every time there's an altar call, however often you would like. I am down on the people that complain all throughout the week, going to the ER, but go to church and never go up for prayer or healing. Where is the faith? How do you go to church every week and still walk out the same way you came in? First of all, it's because you're going to church on the wrong day. I'm not saying he won't heal us, but if we are out doing God knows what on Saturday, in parentheses, his holy Sabbath day, then come to church on Sunday, he really not thinking about us because we are completely out of order. He takes his holy day very serious. This is why he has let the world consume itself in chaos. We turned away from his Sabbath and he took his hand off of us. I am telling you all as a suggestion that we have to get back to following his command or judgment will not be good according to what he said in his word. He loves us, but remember he loves us enough to chasten us as well. Please stop with the Easter and Sunday scam. He hates Easter, and if you truly love him, you will honor his Sabbath. And then I go on to show some posts that I'm going to come back and I'm going to show y'all. These are all things from the Catholic Church. So give me one moment. The Baptist. All right, so we almost finished here, and so I'm going to go in and I'm going to show some proof. This is proof of the Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church, who I say is the Church of Satan. This is proof. All of this is before my time. So, and you can Google this. But Catholics are evil. They openly admit their blasphemy. The Vatican openly admits they changed the Most High's law. And I'm going to read this and then I'm going to show you what I'm reading. Quote, "It is well to remind the Presbyterians, Baptists, Methodists, and all other Christians that the Bible does not support them anywhere in their observance of Sunday. Sunday is an institution of the Roman Catholic Church, and those who observe the day observe a commandment of the Catholic Church." End quote. Priest Brady, in an address reported in the Elizabeth, New Jersey News on March 18th, 1903, address reported in the Elizabeth, New Jersey News on March 18th, 1903. Okay. Protestants, quote, "Protestants accept Sunday rather than Saturday as the day for public worship after the Catholic Church made the change. But the Protestant mind does not seem to realize that. In observing Sunday, they are accepting the authority of the spokesman for the Church, the Pope." End quote. And that is coming from our Sunday Visitor, February 5th, 1950. Quote, "Had she not such power, she could not have done that in which all modern religionists agree with her. She could not have substituted the observance of Sunday, a change for which there is no scriptural authority." And that comes from Reverend Stephen Keenan, A Doctrinal Catechism, New York, in 1857, page 174. Quote, "All of us believe many things in regard to religion that we do not find in the Bible. For example, nowhere in the Bible do we find that Christ or the apostles ordered that the Sabbath be changed from Saturday to Sunday. We have the commandment of God given to Moses to keep holy the Sabbath day. That is the seventh day of the week, Saturday. Today, most Christians keep Sunday because it has been revealed to us by the church outside the Bible." End quote. The Catholic Virginian, quote, "To tell you the truth," end quote, volume 22, number 49, date October 3rd, 1947. And let me go ahead and show you. You can pause it and read it for yourself. You can Google this. Now, what I love about today is how we can Google these quotes and see for ourselves. But don't worry, I did it for you. Like I said, if you are worshiping on Sunday, it's because of the Catholic Church who has daughters. Okay? Okay, going on. Question: should not the Protestant doubt when he finds that he himself holds traditions as a guide? Answer: yes, if he would but reflect that he has nothing but Catholic tradition for keeping Sunday holy. Controversial Catechism by Stephen Keenan, new edition revised by Reverend George Cormack, published in London by Burns and Oates Limited / New York, Cincinnati, Chicago, Benzinger Brothers, 1896, pages 6 and 7. Another quote: deny the authority of the church, and you have no adequate or reasonable explanation or justification for the substitution of Sunday for Saturday in the third Protestant fourth commandment of God. The Catholic Church is above the Bible, and this transference of Sabbath observance is proof of that fact. Catholic Record, September 1st, 1923. Who in the hell do these Catholics, who in the hell do these damn Catholics think they are? God? These people are evil to the core. Going on, quote: perhaps the boldest thing, the most revolutionary change the church ever did happened in the first century. The holy day, the Sabbath, was changed from Saturday to Sunday. The day of the Lord, in quotation marks, Dies Dominica, in parentheses, was chosen, not from any directions noted in the scriptures, but from the church's sense of its own power. The day of resurrection, the day of Pentecost, 50 days later, came on the first day of the week, so this will be the new Sabbath. People who think that the scriptures should be sole authority should logically become Seventh-day Adventists, another cult that I put that in parentheses, another cult, and keep Saturday holy, end quote. Sentinel Pastors page, St. Catherine Catholic Church, Algonac, Michigan, May 21st, 1995. The observance of Sunday by the Protestants is homage they pay, in spite of themselves, to the authority of the Catholic Church. That's a quote. Monsignor Louis Seeger, plain talk about the Protestantism of today, page 213. Okay, next one. What important question does the papacy ask Protestants? Protestants have repeatedly asked the papacy, how could you dare to change God's law? But the question posed to the Protestants by the Catholic Church is even more penetrating. Here's what the Protestants were asking and demanding answers to. You will tell me that Saturday was the Jewish Sabbath, but the Christian Sabbath has been changed to Sunday. Changed, but by whom? Whom has the authority to change an express commandment of Almighty God? When God has spoken and said, thou shalt keep holy the seventh day, who shall dare to say, nay, thou mayest work and do all manner of worldly business on the seventh day, but thou shalt keep holy the first day in its stead. The command to keep holy the seventh day is one of the 10 commandments. You believe that the other 9 are still binding? In parentheses, they also removed the second command, in parentheses. Who gave you authority to tamper with the fourth? If you are consistent with your own principles, if you really follow the Bible and the Bible only, you ought to be able to produce some portion of the New Testament in which this fourth commandment is expressly altered, end quote. Library of Christian Doctrine, why don't you keep holy the Sabbath day? In parentheses, London, Burns and Oates Limited, pages 3 and 4. So this has been a debate for a very long time, but the scriptures are very clear on what day is the Sabbath. And so I'm going to go back up and I'm going to show these quotes so you can read for yourself. All right. Okay, here we go. And I mean, you can pause this and read it for yourself. Look, you can't say that I did not do my research on this. Quote, there is but one church on the face of the earth which has the power or claims power to make laws binding on the conscience, binding before God, binding under the penalty of hellfire. For instance, the institution of Sunday. What right has any other church to keep this day? Your answer, by virtue of the third commandment, parentheses, the papacy did away with the second regarding the worshiping of graven images and called the fourth the third, in parentheses, which says, remember that thou keep holy the Sabbath day. But Sunday is not the Sabbath. Any schoolboy knows that Sunday is the first day of the week. I have repeatedly offered $1,000 to anyone who will prove by the Bible alone that Sunday is the day we are bound to keep, and no one has called for the money. It was the Holy Catholic Church that changed the day of rest from Saturday, the seventh day, to Sunday, the first day of the week. End quote. T.N. Wright, CSSR, in a lecture delivered in 1893. Okay? Quote, of course, the Catholic Church claims that the change was her act, and the act is a mark of her ecclesiastical power and authority in religious matters. C.F. Thomas, Chancellor of Cardinal Gibbons, in answer to a letter regarding the change of the Sabbath, November 11th, 1895. If the Catholic Church is calling what they foolishly did their mark, then all that follow under this false tradition is spiritually marked, because you are disobeying the word of God, whether you know it or not. Like I said, in the end, there will be no excuses. They are telling you to your face, yeah, we changed God's Sabbath from Saturday to Sunday because we wanted to prove our authority on earth over all religions. So what? And there's nothing you can do about it. This is part of the mark of the beast. They're calling it their mark. The Bible says we are going to take a mark. This has something to do with it. That Catholic Church has something to do with the mark of the beast. And can't nobody tell me different. This is all the way back from 1895. I'm not making this up. Little John didn't say this. This is what the Catholic Church said. And if you're a Baptist, Pentecostal, you are a daughter of the Catholic Church.